We're real excited to bring you another episode on the human factors of leadership today. We have a great topic. It's been proven to work in big companies. I think you're going to enjoy it because it's a part of history too. And why don't we just get right into it? So I'm going to share my screen. We have something important to share with you. We're going to chat about it, and I hope you learn a lot. Okay, so David Packard's 11 Simple Rules. Now, this is interesting. Hewlett and Packard were both engineers, started a company in their garage. They're really the Silicon Valley story. It's the beginning of Silicon Valley, may have very well have kicked off and initiated what we call Silicon Valley over years. They started working on stuff in the 1930s in their garage, built equipment, sold it to Disney, a bunch of other companies, and became hugely successful. I think the company went on to be over 100 billion in revenue, huge company. But what's interesting is, yes, they were engineers and scientists, but David Packard had a human side to him, and he understood the human side of business and life really well. And everybody in the company was supposed to follow Dave's 11 simple rules. So we're going to talk about these today. These matter whether you're at work or you're dealing with people in life. These are really the human needs he identified that they used to build the culture in their company. I think they're great. They were an innovative company. People worked well together. People had a great experience. They loved the company. And when they were running it, they cared about people and the success of the organization and the people together. And I think you'll see right away through these rules that, David Packard really got it. So, let's go to the first one. Think first of the other fellow. So, Terri, this is the foundation, the first requisite for getting along with others. And it's the one truly difficult to accomplish. You must make gaining this. The rest will be a breeze. So, Terri, you want to comment on that?
Yes. So the first thing that's so important is not being so selfish. When you're working on a team and you're growing and learning each other, getting to know more about each other, you're learning how each other works, your strengths and your weaknesses. As you get to know people, you have to do that and do it from a place that's open and a place of caring. You can't be so self-centered on a team that everything has to be about you. And so this being the first step is really a good one because it sets the foundation for the rest. It really does make it easier if you're constantly thinking of the others on your team. When you're
Yeah,
making decisions, then it's going to make things flow so much more smoothly on the team. And everybody has to do that though. It can't just be one person always giving in and
hmm
thinking of the team. You got to really get rid of that selfish mentality that would cause you to focus in on just this is what I like and the way I like things to be.
yeah. Caring about others is really the gateway to everything else that happens. So you've got to care about others if you really want to be an effective part of the team. And Packard understood that, right? They had people working together to engineer solutions for customers. The teamwork mattered. He got it. I'm sure he thought about, you know, Bill Hewlett in the same way and took his needs into account. That's why they were a great team. They got along great. They were very, very different. One guy was really tall, one was short, two completely different personalities. But at the end of the day, they really did care about each other. And you've got to care about others. I remember at one company I worked for, one of the leaders that worked for me never had a good relationship with the business. And it dawned on me that all this individual cared about was their needs. He was always meeting with the business because he had to get something done, never asking, what are your priorities? What do you have to get done? What keeps you up? What keeps you up? What are you worried about? How can I help you? No, it's all about this individual. And he failed.
Yeah.
So it matters in a really big way. You've got to care about others, take their needs into account, think about how you can help them. It's about the greater whole winning. So the people and company thrive together. People, not you, people.
Right. Nobody wants to be on that team with the one person that always has to have their way. It's like the toddler that never learned how to share.
Yeah,
You really do find that in the workplace where people are so self centered and focused on me, what I want, the way I like it. They really they
mhm,
burn bridges with people. And
totally.
when you get in those situations, and you're just constantly being selfish and self centered, people are going to pull away from that.
That's right.
because everybody wants to feel like they belong and they have a part to play. And if you're constantly just stomping over people so that you get your way,
Mhm.
pay, it's gonna hit you hard in the long run.
So David Packard got it right. So let's go to the next one.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
building up the other person's sense of importance is the
Okay.
next one.
Yep. Build up the other person's sense of importance. When we make the other person seem less important, we frustrate one of his deepest urges, allow him to feel equality or superiority, and we can easily get along with him.
Right.
You want to kick
People
off first on this one, Tara?
people feel they want to feel like they matter. That's the heart of this whole thing. Make people know that they matter and what they think matters, how they feel matters. There's nothing worse than being on a team where you feel like you don't have a voice and nobody cares.
Yeah, everybody needs to have that sense of importance. He's absolutely right. That
Right.
means that you should really seriously consider other people's ideas. It's not about always winning, it's about the team winning. And if somebody doesn't feel like they're viewed equally, they're really not going to meld with the team, not going to want to be part of the organization. That's what equality is all about. So he got this right. Equality is one of the most fundamental human needs.
Right.
Super important.
Right.
And then we move on to respect the other person's personality rights. And we know, I mean, the science on this is so deep, right, Terry? Myers-Briggs, DISC, people are
Right.
different. You've got to go out of your way to understand that people are different. They have different ways of consuming information, interacting with people, and you've got to respect people's right to be who they are.
Right. And there's no right or wrong in that area. People
No,
have their own way of thinking and doing things, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to give people that ability to be individuals. You don't want them to feel like they have to assimilate or
yeah,
or they'll be outcasts. You really want people to feel like they can be a part of the team, but still remain keep some level of individuality.
yeah, yeah. I mean, super important. Go out of your way to try to understand the different personality types, and you'll be able to work with people much better over time.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so then number 4, Tara, why don't you run with that one?
Right. So, giving sincere appreciation. It's so important for you to say thank you. That those two little words can get you so far. But the important part is being sincere.
Yes.
So you can show appreciation, but people can tell if you're being sincere or not. They can tell if you're just faking it. And if you're just trying to flatter them to make them feel good, or, it's some kind of
Oh,
phony thing that you're just puffing them up. You can tell when somebody is doing that, when they're just blowing smoke. And you can tell when people genuinely care and they're being really sincere with what they're saying. So, um, flattery is really not the way to go with that. You really do
mhm.
want to be sincere and find something where you can be sincere and give that appreciation to the person.
Yeah. Give sincere appreciation when appreciation is due. You'll know somebody did something that was meaningful. They helped you in a real way. Go out of your way to say thank you. It matters. If you never thank them, it's unlikely they're going to continue to help you over time.
Right.
And this is a contagion in an organization. A lot of these things are contagions. You want people giving gratitude so that those people in turn, all people see it and they start helping one another.
Right. And don't overlook the little things.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's the smallest things that make the biggest impact on us and really helps us along in our day. So make sure you recognize those little things that just warm your heart or make you smile. I'm kind of an ooey
Yeah.
gooey person, which is hard to believe. Most people that know me well know
Yeah.
that I used to not be so ooey gooey, but I have become quite the ooey gooey person over the years. And,
That's right.
that stuff matters. It really does matter. It makes a difference in the workplace and in how people interact with each other. Those little things really do count a lot.
Mhm. And eliminate the negative. Another
Yes.
one where Dave got it right.
There's a way to share areas for improvement and criticisms without being a critic. So you don't want people to feel like you're just pounding on them. Everybody has an area where they can improve, where they can be,
Mhm.
where they can do better. So we're not talking about don't share anything negative. That's not what the heart of this is about, but it's about that person that's just critical and negative about everything. You
Yeah,
know, they disapprove of everything. They're resentful all the time about everything. And we've all been in organizations with those kind of people. You
mhm.
really don't want to spend a whole lot of time with them. And usually the heart of that is something much bigger than the workplace. It's usually something much more deep than
Yeah,
just, being at work. There's something usually going on in the personal life that drives people to be negative and just
yeah.
see things through negative lenses all the time.
The reality is you don't need to criticize people. It's not going to get you anywhere. And he's
Right.
absolutely right about this. So you don't have to be the negative person. Just don't criticize people. And I think you'll do better in life and in work if you follow that rule.
Yes.
Avoid openly trying to reform people. Most people can't change themselves. So just imagine the difficulty trying to change others. It's almost impossible.
Right. Especially when people think that you're trying to change them.
Yeah,
It's almost like the brain is hardwired to dig in even more.
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So people will just instinctively think, well, why are you trying to change me? What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with me. Something is wrong with you. And so they'll just dig in.
Mhm.
And that's really not the way to work with people. A lot of times you can help people see things differently just by you being different, by
Yeah.
you doing things differently and responding in a different way will inspire people to do things in a different way. So if you feel like people need to be more open in their communication, then you be more open in your communication instead of just going to people and telling them, hey, you need to be more open, just or you need to communicate more. Nobody receives it that way very well. But if
No.
you begin to communicate more with them, they'll instinctively want to communicate more with you.
And this is where having norms in the organization really matter. If it is about people communicating in a much more open way, having a norm around openness and transparency can really help because it communicates to
Yes,
everybody why it's important. It's not about an individual, it's about the organization and how we work effectively together. And
right,
that's the way to get people to understand, oh, I could do better. Let me shoot for that.
right. And you have to really be careful about trying to transform people into your image. That's really a dangerous place to be in the
Oh,
workplace as well as in the home, in a marriage relationship or with your children. You don't want to try to stomp out people's individuality and keep them from being who they uniquely are by
yeah,
trying
you're
to
not going to
transform
succeed.
them
I
into
mean,
you.
that's really the bottom line, right? You're not going to succeed in transforming somebody. So don't bother.
Right,
I mean, this is where coaching comes in. Coach is very different. They help people discover things on their own.
right.
And that's okay. That's a much better way to do it. Leaders are coaches in reality.
Yes, absolutely.
So try to understand the other person.
Yes. That
Super
whole
important.
Stephen Covey, this brings to mind Stephen Covey, seek first to understand and then to be understood. So
Mhm.
it's not just about you always having the floor and always doing the leading and directing. Sometimes you need to step back and listen to someone else's opinion and understand where they're coming from and really try to really see it through their eyes.
Mhm.
There's a
Mhm.
whole nother conversation we could have about being empathetic at work, but that ability is really something that is much needed in the workplace today because often people are just run over and nobody wants to take the time to listen. But
Mhm.
really do get a lot of valuable insights when you stop and just listen and start to understand the whys.
Yeah, I think this is a great rule. Dig in, understand why, and get to know the people better, right?
Right.
No doubt about it. And this whole notion of getting to know people better, checking first impressions.
Yes.
Wow, super important. People do get sometimes negative reactions for people and they don't even know them. I love this ending here with Abraham Lincoln's famous instruction. I do not like that man, therefore I shall get to know him better. That's exactly right.
Right.
Dig in, find common ground, find those things that you can really respect and admire about that person. Will change your whole sense of who they are, and maybe it'll be one of your best relationships.
Right, right. You know, it's so funny. This reminds me of just characters that we've seen on TV, and you
Mhm.
see an actor or actress portray this character, and then you see them do an interview, and they're the exact opposite of the character
Yeah.
that they just played. And you listen to them talk, and a lot of times you'll find that certain actors have an accent or they're from a different country, but you didn't know because they can speak English fluently, and
Yep.
just many, many different things that you learn about people where they play these really strong roles, but in real life, they're much more reserved and quiet. And
Mhm.
that has always been so fascinating to me. But this really falls into that same category where you cannot judge a book by its cover. You cannot assume that you know everything about a person just because of their physical appearance or something, one isolated
Mhm.
incident that you might have experienced with them. People are much more complicated and layered than that.
Oh
So,
my God.
you
So
cannot,
there's so much to know about people.
yeah, you cannot just assume that you know a person from one interaction. You've really
Yeah,
got to
or
look at,
from no interaction. They're in a meeting and there's just something you
right,
don't like about them. That's just,
right,
forget it. That doesn't work. It's
I
completely
agree.
unproductive. Take care with the little details.
Yes.
Watch your
Very
smile, your tone
important.
of voice, how you use your eyes, the way you greet people, the use of nicknames, remembering faces, names, and dates. Very important. Little things that polish your skill in dealing with people constantly, deliberately think of them until they become a natural part of your personality. So the more you deeply you get to know people, the more deeply you understand yourself, that self-awareness, your smile, your tone of voice. They've studied that high self-monitoring people perform better in the workplace because they understood how they were impacting other people. So
Right.
all this stuff has been proven by science. He was absolutely right.
Right. And it's always the little details. Calling someone by someone else's name, that
Mhm.
to me has always been just the absolute worst.
Yeah.
You know, I pride myself on being able to remember faces. I may not always remember the names, but I'll
Oh,
definitely
me
remember
too.
faces. And I have been guilty of not remembering the name or thinking the wrong name, but I am so reluctant to say it because I don't want it to be the wrong one. Because when you call someone by a different name than what's actually theirs, it really leaves a bad taste in their mouth.
Oh God, yeah. You've got to actually just. I found it difficult to be fully honest and say, you know, I should know your name. I've forgotten. I apologize. Could you let me know again? And then I've got to start repeating it during that conversation.
Right.
Because invariably, they said it to me and I didn't pay enough attention and repeat it. There is there's a real discipline and rigor if you want to remember everybody's name. Some people are just good at it. I was good
Right.
at it certainly years ago, but over time I got less good at it and I had to work at it. And he's right. You got to work at these things.
Yeah, you really do. You really have to pay attention to people enough to know something different about them. You can't just gloss over people and not listen at all and expect to succeed in the workplace. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tara, then we get the last one, develop genuine interest in people.
Yes. And we've been kind of talking about this the whole time. You
We
really
have.
do have to get to know people. I know that some people feel like, I'm a private person. I don't want everybody to know everything about me. And to some degree, that's
Mhm.
acceptable, but people need to know something about you in the workplace. That's
Yeah.
just, it makes for a better environment, a better culture where people
Mhm.
feel like they can be individuals and be known and seen as for
Yes.
who they are.
That whole notion of caring enough about others that you want to get to know them leads to much deeper sense of acceptance. They feel like people really care about me around here.
Right.
So it really, really does matter. Take an interest in people. It's just super important. You spend more hours with many of these people than you do with your family. It's good to get to know them.
Right.
And then, he ends with keep it all up, which means really be aware of all these rules, follow them. You should probably have some kind of report card where you can go through and grade yourself and say how well you're doing on each of these. That's a good practice. Build your own self-awareness around how you're doing. Are you actually embracing these? Are you following them? Simple rules from somebody who really made a difference, certainly in the world. That company, employed so many people, brought so many products to life, just created a lot of real value for a lot of people.
Yes. And these aren't things that are hard to do either. These are things that you can take a little bit of time and put a little
Mhm.
effort in. And you don't have to try to accomplish the whole list at once. If you find that this is a struggle for you, you can take one or two things a week and just focus in
Work
on
on one a
those.
day. Every morning, work on one of these. You can look these up online.
Right.
David Packard's 11 rules. And they're really easy. They're good to follow. I think it's a great starting point if you're a leader just to use these. You certainly want to learn the whole human side of business, what the human needs are, and deeply meet everybody's needs. But this is a great place to start. You're going to cover a lot of territory right here.
Right. You'll see that people are much more willing to give you of their reserves when
Mhm,
they feel like you are focusing in on them. When you start to
mhm.
care about the things that people care about, they begin to care about the things that you care about.
Oh, it's so
And
reciprocal, right?
it is
It
very
really is.
reciprocal. And when people feel like you don't care about them or the things that they care about, they stop caring about the company. And that's really not where you want people to be. You want them to feel like the company is there for them, that the
Mhm,
company is there to help them and support them in every way. And the
mhm.
moment they feel like the company has abandoned them, they will abandon the company. And the
Yes.
sad part is, not all people that abandon the company leave the company. A
Mhm.
lot of times you'll have people that stay, they're physically present, but mentally they're not.
Yeah, that's right. They're disconnected mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not what you want. That's really just not
No.
what you want.
So these are great rules. We appreciate you for tuning in. We're here every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Please tune in. If you enjoyed the episode, please smack that bell and subscribe. Hit the share button, share it with people. We encourage you to really share this. This is valuable information that so many people can learn and benefit from. It's great to get it out there. Any
Yes.
closing thoughts, Tara?
So use these rules. Make sure you go and look for the entire list. It's really a good one to have. Just print it off and think about it from time to time, and really apply these things. What we're sharing in these videos, we're really trying to help you improve in the human side of business. So
Yep.
really take it to heart. These things matter. And you'll start to see changes on your teams and in your organization as you begin to apply some of these human factors to your teams.
And in your life, become
Yes,
the best you possible. That's really what this is all about.
yes,
So, hey, thank you for coming. We'll see you next week. Really appreciate you stopping by.
yes. Bye for now.